So, if you're a student right now, you are dealing with a challenge that literally didn't exist just a few years ago. How to handle powerful AI tools like ChatGPT. Get it wrong, and, well, the consequences can be pretty serious. But if you get it right, it can totally change the way you learn. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to use it the right way.
Just imagine this for a second. You have spent days, maybe even weeks, pouring everything into a paper. You submit it, you're waiting for feedback, and this is the only thing you get back. No grade, no notes on your work, just this one single crushing line. It's a scenario playing out for students all over the place. And honestly, it's a total nightmare.
So, the big question is, how do you make sure that never happens to you? Well, the answer isn't to just, pretend AI doesn't exist. It's about really understanding the massive difference between using it as a powerful tool and letting it become a crutch that could get you flagged for academic misconduct. And that brings us right to the heart of the AI writing dilemma. The reality is, millions of students are using these tools. Your university knows it, and they're not just trying to ban them. They're actually creating policies to manage them. So this isn't about avoiding AI anymore. It's about learning the new rules of the game. And we're not talking about a small trend here. The scale of this is huge. A 2023 survey from Times Higher Education found that over 60% of universities were already developing official AI policies, and that number is only going up. What that means for you is that your school is thinking about this, and they definitely expect you to be too.
Okay, so this is probably the most important part. It all boils down to one fundamental distinction. Are you producing AI-assisted work, or are you producing AI-generated work? Getting this difference is everything. It's the bright red line between using a tool responsibly and committing academic dishonesty. First, let's define the problem area. AI-generated text. This is basically the copy and paste method. You give ChatGPT a prompt, it spits out a few paragraphs or even a whole essay, and you turn it in as your own. There's almost no human thought involved, which means the AI is basically the author. This is the fast track to getting in serious trouble.
Now, on the other hand, here's the smart approach. AI-assisted writing. See, in this model, you're the author. You are in complete control. You're just using the AI as a sort of partner, maybe to brainstorm some initial ideas, get feedback on your essay structure, or help polish your grammar. But the core arguments, the research, the critical thinking, that's all you. Let's just put them side by side, because the difference is stark. With generated text, the AI is the author. That leads to generic, flat writing, and a really high risk of getting caught. But with assisted writing, you are the author. You're just using the tool to help refine your own unique voice, which keeps the risk of misconduct way, way down. You always want to be on the right side of this chart. Okay, so what does staying on the right side actually look like in practice? Let's talk about building your academic toolkit with some smart, totally legitimate ways you can use AI. This right here, this is the single most important mindset shift you have to make. ChatGPT is a language model. It's a ridiculously powerful pattern matcher that predicts the next word in a sentence. It doesn't actually know anything. So it's a fantastic assistant for the process of writing, but it's an absolutely terrible and unreliable source for facts, data, or research. So let's get practical. Here are 3 academically sound ways you can use it. First, as a thinking partner. Ask it to help you brainstorm some research angles or create a basic outline for your paper. The ideas still have to come from you, of course. Second, ask for structural feedback. You can literally paste in a paragraph you've already written and ask, does this flow well? Is my topic sentence clear? And third, use it to refine your own ideas. Maybe you have a clunky sentence you wrote. Ask it to help you paraphrase it more clearly, or use it to check your grammar. Now, as much as this tool can help, we have to talk about the other side of this. It's so important to understand the very real risks, because misusing this stuff, even if you do it by accident, can have some pretty serious consequences for your academic career. And I want to be clear, this is not a hypothetical risk. This actually happened. A lawyer used ChatGPT for legal research, and the tool completely invented fake legal cases, citations and all. He submitted them to a court and was sanctioned by a judge. This is what we call an AI hallucination, and believe me, it happens all the time with facts and references. And then there's the technology that your university is using against this. Tools like Turnitin's AI detector, they don't just check for old-school plagiarism anymore. They analyze everything, sentence structure, word choice, rhythm, to estimate the probability that your paper was written by a machine.
Now, they're not perfect, but they are a reality you have to deal with.
So let's just quickly summarize the key dangers you need to have on your radar. First, those hallucinated references we just talked about. Never trust a fact from an AI. Second, remember the detectors can sometimes flag your work if you don't do a good enough job rewriting AI suggestions in your own voice. Third, every single school has different rules, and it is 100% your job to know them. And finally, and maybe most importantly, if you rely on AI too much, you'll never develop your own critical thinking and writing skills, which is kind of the whole point of your education, right?
Okay, this is the most important call to action in this entire explainer. Seriously, before you use any AI tool on any piece of work that's going to be graded, you need to stop what you're doing, find your university's official academic integrity policy on AI, and read it. If you're not sure about something, email your professor. Ignorance is never, ever an excuse.
I know that was a lot of information, a lot of do's and don'ts. So to make it really simple and easy to remember, I want to leave you with a straightforward little framework you can use every single time. We call it the ARV framework.
Here it is, nice and simple. A is for assist, don't author. Use it as a tool, not a ghostwriter. R is for rework everything. Any suggestion you get from an AI, you have to substantially rewrite it in your own words, with your own analysis. And finally, V is for verify independently. Every single fact, every claim, every reference that comes from an AI must be checked against a real, reliable academic source. ARV. It's really that simple.
You know, at the end of the day, it's helpful to think of it like this. AI is basically the new calculator for writing. We don't ban calculators in math class, right? We teach students how to use them to solve much more complex problems. The tool does the number crunching, but you still have to know which formulas to use and how to set up the equation in the first place. So the real question for you is, how are you going to use this new calculator to do the real intellectual math? That's the challenge, but it's also the opportunity ahead of you.